Hello there. For this final video, for the school improvement video, I decided to do it upon the topic of presentation that was requested by my current principal to report on the school improvement process. I'm going to hit on various different topics that have a factor in overall school improvement and my own personal philosophy. Um, the first the first one I'm going to cover is about staff development. Next one's going to be about positive relationships formed, the collaboration as a change process, and that critical piece of having buy-in from the teachers upon those relationships formed. The third one's all about student engagement and how that has a very big factor upon the overall school improvement. Vision statement and having the importance of having a shared vision among all the stakeholders and staff within the school district. Data-based decision making, and then lastly, making data relevant. So those are all of the key components that I feel are going to be important for the overall school improvement process. So the first one I want to hit upon is staff development. This concept is important to me and for the overall school improvement because there's always room for growth with each individual educator within the school building, no matter if they're veteran, teaching for 30 years, or teaching for 3 years. There's always that room for growth. And there needs to be a main focus around the concept of instead of relying upon a staff development committee or a school improvement plan to chart the course of staff development, teachers pilot individual and small group efforts that target immediate instructional needs in an approach that is highly personalized. So similar to personalizing the needs in your classroom, you need to personalize the needs for overall staff development. So the term professional or staff development gets a negative connotation from a lot of school districts that I've been with and worked for because of the poorly implemented development sessions from the past with educators who felt that they did not need development in that specific area. So they just tune it out and the innovation goes to the wayside. Staff development needs to be viewed as honoring individual priorities in a manner that is comfortable and necessary for them. So we need to find where they need to grow in and how to implement that to them. The next component of staff development is Zmuda, Kuklas, and Klein state this workshop needs to be designed in response to a direct need expressed by the staff to learn more about before they discuss implementation of a major staff development innovation. From my own experiences, this is where districts make a huge mistake that results in little to no staff development because the staff development needs to be purposeful to the needs of the educators, as I previously stated, similar to the needs in our classroom. So we need to focus on their current academic needs to get them to grow and understand where they're at and where they need to go to come up with better instructional strategies, best practices, and relationships with their students. The next important piece that I want to talk about in my overall school improvement philosophy video here is positive relationships formed and collaboration as a change process, and then that overall buy-in and how to achieve that. So the first one I want to talk about is when Blanchard and Bowles express the importance of ensuring the thoughts, feelings, needs, and dreams are respected, listened to, and acted upon. And this takes intentionality with the educators and with the building leader to ensure the thoughts, feelings, and needs and dreams are respected and listened to and acted upon. So that definitely takes time to make yourself available to do that. And this suggests that successful collaboration revolves around positive relationships being formed. We must value individuals as persons and serve them. In Travis Brown's video of educational leadership and motivation, as we saw earlier in, I think, week 4, he discussed the importance of driving culture to ultimate success. He talks about the importance of leading by example and serving others. And that's the way to begin forming those relationships, of showing them that you are listening to them, you're serving them, and you understand them. He also talks about all of these expectations, but oftentimes we leave out the action steps of how to truly reach these individuals, which is making yourself available and taking the time to sit down and discuss these items with others. The next part about building relationships is collaboration and how this collaboration acts as a change process. Zmuda, Kuklas, and Klein state on page 156, they discuss the importance of using a collaborative approach as a change process to better student achievement and results. The authors state, change becomes collaborative as I think about how to coordinate with colleagues in implementation to ensure even better students' results. For example, a collaborative PLC teacher grade level meeting can produce evidence that can allow teachers to understand and implement instructional best practices that can better meet the various needs of their students. Maybe they didn't realize the data that was in front of them and how to utilize it. But as a collaboration piece, when you bring this type of evidence up in a leadership meeting or a PLC meeting, committee meeting, you can really have that important conversation of learning, okay, that's what I should do with that, or that's how I can take next steps. So the collaboration piece is huge. And just recently, I helped a teacher get started on using station rotation in her classroom. She wanted to come watch me, she wanted to observe me, and I discussed with her how it works for me. And then as a collaboration, just the two of us, we were able to, I was even able to better my stations that I use for math and reading because I was able to talk some things out with her, and I was able to work a few kinks that wasn't working for me. So collaboration as a change process is huge in making sure that happens. And then lastly, I really like the idea of positive psychology and how that can better form our relationships among the staff. Acher discussed the importance of utilizing positive psychology to better staff morale and attitudes. He summarized that approximately 75% of success revolves around optimism levels, social support, and seeing stress as a challenge. So if you have a building morale that's similar to that approach and you see stress as a challenge, those relationships are going to be formed and the overall morale of the building is going to increase. And that's the ultimate goal that we want, is, to better meet the needs of our students with positivity and that positive psychology. So I thought that was very important as well. The third component that I'm going to hit on here is student engagement. This is one that's oftentimes overlooked because we think about, okay, we're hitting our standards. All right, we're doing that in a way that's using the curriculum that we have had well thought out and well researched to purchase. But making it a priority to meet the needs of a 21st century learner can be tough, and making sure those lessons are engaging. In here, Edmund discusses about, summarizes that in various settings, our students, individuals, and audience members engage because of compelling stories and knowledge portrayed to them in a way that is meaningful to their lives. And I think we need to have a paradigm shift of the educator, moving from one who is a giver of knowledge to one who is a guider of knowledge. And the teacher educator now can be seen as a designer and planner of lessons to make sure that they are engaging and meaningful to the students. Lanier states the day-to-day job of the teacher, rather than broadcasting content, is becoming one of designing and guiding students through engaging learning opportunities. This suggests that the educator, in my opinion, sets the students up for success in their planning, but allows the students to discover the learning for themselves, and that makes it more purposeful and meaningful to them. The fourth piece I want to hit on is a vision statement. We talked about this various different times throughout this course. A vision statement, as stated by Ubben, Hughes, and Norris, is a goal statement, indicates our intended direction, mission, relative to the belief statement, which is the vision. The vision statement gives purpose and meaning behind what occurs and goes in on the schools on a daily basis. And the most important piece of, a lot of schools have that, but the most important piece to having ultimate school improvement is that shared vision, and that is so important. I like to see defined shared vision as something seen otherwise than by ordinary sight, something beheld as in a dream. Another useful definition that I saw is a picture in the leader's imagination that motivates people to action when communicated compellingly, passionately, and clearly. I think that's I feel as if this was my favorite definition, that second one, because it goes hand in hand with the definition of the leader that I am striving for. And one cannot make happen what they do not believe in, and make sure they are saying that verbally to the staff. So having that commitment and having that leader magic, as we learned, is going to be very, very important to the overall shared vision and vision of the school. Lastly, something I found very important to the overall school improvement process was data-based decision-making. Flowers and Carpenter lay out steps of using data-based decision-making model. This model includes 5 steps. Review your school improvement plan, determine how data will be used, identify relevant data, and examine and discuss the data, and set goals to evaluate progress. I thought this was very important because sometimes we get all this data and it's not used in steps that set goals, or it's not reflected upon of how we're going to take next steps to enhance an area. And that's the last one I want to talk about, is this how to make data relevant. Um, in our learnings throughout the course, Canada expresses its concern that much of the data we receive does not serve the true purpose of school improvement. It's data that we get back and it just goes to the wayside. It's not used intentionally and purposefully. And for example, he gave the one that teachers can't do a lot of the data that they get back from the state test scores from the spring because they're in the summertime. Teachers are not there, and then they can't enhance their instructional strategies or practice because it's not as relevant to them when they go back to another school year. And the science shows that a lot of the data that we have and we know isn't being used to its full potential, and we're not following through with it. Using data in a way that here, as Flowers and Carpenter suggest, is set goals and evaluate progress. I think that's key for an overall for the overall school improvement. So those are the big areas that I wanted to hit on today because of how meaningful they are to the overall school improvement, and how many subcategories there are within those. So those are the main ones, and thank you very much.